So I've got a bit of a quote to read out, and I wrote this quote myself, so it's probably a little bit naff, but I really hope it gets my sentiment across. To a photographer from halfway around the world, your boring hometown is an exotic location full of untapped potential. Sometimes we overlook the beauty in our own backyards simply because we're too familiar with it. And yeah, the other day I did a little poll on my YouTube community space of, what do people struggle with the most with the photography? And I put a few common options down, like composition and location was one of them. And as I thought, I don't really know why I did the poll, because I knew what people were going to say. It was a toss-up between composition and location. And I thought, what better way to kind of get my teeth stuck into this whole idea, this whole sentiment, than shooting in my hometown, what I would regard as an extremely boring location. So as for my camera settings, I've got it in aperture priority, and then I've just set a minimum shutter speed of 1/250th of a second, and then it's just on auto ISO, but I've put a kind of a ceiling on the ISO, the max ISO at 3200. And I mean today in these bright conditions, that's going to cover me for 100% of situations, which is good, because I can, like, I've set my settings, and then I can just forget about them and get on with the photography. The hometown's called Morecambe, by the way, for anyone that doesn't know. Tyson Fury lives here. Morecambe and Wise, a lot of you might have heard of. The Bay on ITV, that's filmed here. I see Big Tyson around all the time. He's just like another bloke around here now. He's really friendly. But yeah, in terms of photography, it's never really done anything for me, man. So this one looks really nice with the reflections down at the bottom there. Obviously the little life ring's just a nice pop of colour, and it works really well with the blue sky as well. Try and get it. It's all about them reflections really. Just adds a little bit of interest to the whole scene. So I wouldn't say I'm feeling great at the minute about, the photographs or anything, but I really am enjoying it, and I think that's the main thing. I feel like I'm not feeling great. I feel as if I'm just getting warmed up. And for me anyway, when I'm photographing something different from what I'm used to, like landscapes, I do feel like I need that little kind of up to an hour sometimes of just snapping a few shots and just getting into a bit of a rhythm with it. But I'm feeling like I'm starting to get there a little bit now. I am looking forward. You can maybe see the big white sort of hotel there right off in the distance, and then this jetty that comes out. It's called the Stone Jetty. Down there, I'm really looking forward to. It's more towards the centre of town. It'll be a little bit busier, a bit more going on. So I'm looking forward to getting down there actually. In fact, I might make a bit of a beeline for it, or else I'm just going to be here all day. I'll tell you what I love about it is, even though I'm only 2 minutes from my house, I'm still out here doing it. It doesn't make a difference that I'm not over there in the fells. It's still, like I'm still winning. I'm still the one that gets to get out with my camera, and it's a cliche, but it's like the actual photographs themselves are almost a bit of an afterthought. I'm still pressing the shutter button, I'm still thinking creatively, still messing about with composition and light, and it still feels fantastic, regardless of the fact that I think that this is such a boring location, man. But that's getting better as well. I feel like it's becoming less boring to me, specifically because I'm allowing myself to try and see it through fresh eyes. And essentially what I'm doing with my camera and with the creative side of my brain at the minute is just trying to find beauty, like beautiful little scenes, attractive little scenes within a wider area that, like I said, generally I just don't think there's that much beauty in whatsoever. But it's silly really if you think about it, isn't it? Like, I mean, it's quite a nice day today. It's not usually like this, to be honest, but it is really nice. It's incredible. And that is fantastic that just that little tool there is opening my eyes to it. That's a treat, that is, isn't it? That's an absolute treat. So I said to you a second ago, didn't I? It doesn't always look like this. I got a photograph of this little scene here a few years ago now, four or 5 years ago. And yeah, it looks completely different, but I mean, that is probably what it normally looks like, you know. But I really liked that shot. Obviously completely like polar opposite conditions of what we've got today. This is Art Deco. You know, I assume this was built in the 1930s. If not, I'll put it up on the screen. But I mean, you could argue it looks like a prison, couldn't you? That's what a lot of people say around here. But it's absolutely beautiful, and it's a piece of history right there. And if you actually think about it, and this is what I find is so inspiring. It's so photogenic. Everything around it is so photogenic when you just start taking the time to look. And if I get anything across in this video, my goal is to try and inspire you, to try and find these little things where you live that, oh, you know, that's actually really photogenic. Just because I see it every day, just because it's familiar, you know, try and think about it and try and really put yourself in a foreigner's shoes maybe of, wow, I'd love to be around here photographing just for a day. This is gorgeous. Now, you might have noticed a distinctive style really in the images throughout this video, especially in the post-processing, and I've intentionally embraced the harsh light by keeping the overall exposure quite bright as well, allowing the shadows and even the highlights to retain a much lighter tone. And this has created an almost washed out look, as you can see really well in these shots of the Midland Hotel. Although, I don't know, I feel as if the term washed out is a little bit negative. Let's go with an airy brightness. But I'm really pleased with how these images turn out, and you know, I hope you can see the deliberate post-processing choices at play. So we're just at the stone jetty now. Probably walk down there actually, but yeah, I've always thought this little section of boats, you've got the boat ramp as well down there. Look, you've got, see how things are coming together. I never look at these things like in this sort of way. You've got that's a trawler there that's catching Morecambe Bay shrimp, which is also something that's quite famous from this area. And then, oh yeah, even with the man out there, a few more fishing boats and stuff. Really nice colours. Look at these yellow ones. And I'm just trying to find ways that I can actually include less in the photograph rather than more. I'm trying to eliminate as much as I can to make this simple and as minimal as I can get it, really. All right, I think I'm set on something for now. There we go, I quite like that. Just these two boats, a little bit of that mess down in the bottom right is quite nice. It just helps to tell the story a bit, you know. We've got the trawlers off in the background as well. And again, hopefully I've got that editing style across where it almost feels a little bit washed out. That's how I'm trying to visualize this photograph in my head. I'm actually gonna skip the stone jet. I'm gonna leave it for now because I'm keen to get down here. You can maybe see there's like a little bit of a fairground. I just want to get down into the town and some things that I really want to show you. A lot of you may remember a few months ago, 2 or 3 months, I was in Tenerife and I did a little bit of street photography around there and documentary photography, whatever you want to call it, and I just enjoyed it so much. I didn't know how I was going to take it. I didn't know if I was going to enjoy it or anything. Oh, that's cool, isn't it? Look, see that little hut there with a little mural on it. Let's get a shot of that. Yeah, look, even this little fairground, I walk past it all the time and I just think it's an eyesore. I've only ever got negative things to say about it, to be honest, but look, there's photographs to be had, even just from this little ledge. It's just little stories, isn't it? This brings me on to a word, actually, and I would love to know if anyone has used this term before. Also get this image here of Pleasureland. It's just an arcade. Again, it's the sort of thing I never even look at twice. I just think it's horrible. But let me get into this word, because some of you are probably really intrigued about this. Now, there's a lot in this town that I would call tacky. You know, like Blackpool and stuff, it's similar. But then a lot of stuff, especially now, it looks kind of like vintage. And for me, they're like, it's a positive connotation of vintage and a negative connotation of tacky. Although tacky doesn't necessarily mean like old, does it? But anyway, it brought me on to this idea that Pleasureland there, and a lot, I'll show you a bit further down, I'll show you some clips now of these sorts of like shop frontages and things like that, that are kind of like in between vintage and tacky. Now, I accept and I appreciate that this is very subjective, but for me, there's a lot of beauty in that, especially in terms of little things to photograph, little things to look at. If you're able to look at it in a nice way, but the word is kitsch. K-I-T-S-C-H, which straight away when I saw the word, I thought that's German. So if there's any Germans watching, let me know if that's a word that you use regularly in your language, and if you know, let me know what it means. But I'll put a proper definition up on the screen here because I'll probably butcher it. But yeah, for me, it's something in between tacky and vintage. And I think it maybe tries to shine it in a little bit of a positive light. It's almost like a style that people can like or dislike. And to get to my point, Morecambe here has got so much of that. And I just think it's so photographable, so photogenic, a lot of it. And now we're coming into the main town. Yeah, there's so much of it. And I don't know, what do you think? Do you think it's tacky? Do you think it's vintage? Do you think it's nice? But that kitsch, I really like that definition. I feel like it sums up something that I sort of had in my head about that kind of style, about the fonts and about these shop frontages and things like that. That's kitsch, isn't it? There, AJ's. I'll have to jump this wall here. Let's get a shot of him. That is kitsch. Oh man, there's a car in the way. I'll see if I can get a straight shot of AJ's famous double burgers. He's famous, have you all heard of it? Oh no, the car's in a horrible place. Yeah, I'll see if I can get a bit the other side of the car and shoot a bit wider. Let's have a look. That is kitsch, isn't it? Oh my God. Oh yeah, we can do it. We can do it at 12mm. I'll get into my focal lengths in a second because I've been playing around with them a little bit. So simple, just a straight shot of a little burger joint, man. AJ's double burgers, famous double burgers, sorry. I have actually had it before, it's proper nice, but it's never open. I mean, look at it today, middle of the summer holidays, beautiful sunny day, which it never is here, like I said, and it's shut. Oh, look at this, look at this. All like proper old vintage cars and stuff. That's ideal, is it not? That's exactly the sort of thing I'm after today. Let's see if we can get some shots of these gaffers. So hello everybody, very sorry for the extremely rude interruption to the video here. I hope you're all enjoying it, by the way. I'll get back to it in a minute. I just wanted to take the opportunity to let you know that I am extremely excited to announce that my 2025 calendar is now available for pre-order. And I won't go into too much detail about it. There'll be a link down in the description below, or you can just head over to my website where you can get all of the information. But basically, the pre-order won't be on for too long. It'll be a little bit cheaper than when the pre-order finishes, and every pre-order will be hand signed as well. And yeah, I mean, my office is a mess. I'm absolutely knackered. I've just been sorting this out. But I just wanted to say, before we get back to the video briefly, thank you so much to anyone that even considers supporting me with these calendar purchases. These mean so much to me every year. They're actually a massive chunk of how I'm able to, you know, get income to make this work as a business, to be able to keep creating these YouTube videos here and stuff like that. So I'm so grateful, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much to anyone that chooses to support me with these calendar purchases. It means the world. But yeah, all the information is on my website, through that link down in the video description, and thank you so much. Right, back to the video. This little cafe here, by the way, Lewis's, is quality. In fact, I'm going to go in there and get a sausage sandwich and a coffee. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm mad for it. I've not had any breakfast. Muchas gracias. Look at it. It's horrible, but it's lovely at the same time. What's going on? It's kitsch. It's actually class, is what it is. It's well nice. I need to be central, but then look, my reflection's in there. So yeah, that's my focal lengths. I don't really know why, but I'm just trying it on 20mm as much as I can, so that'd be like 40mm full frame equivalent. And yeah, I think sometimes I find, I'm all for zoom lenses out in the landscape, but sometimes I feel like when you're out in this sort of situation, it can actually be distracting, you know, choosing your focal length and changing it all the time, whereas if you stick to one, so it's almost like I'm using my zoom lens as a prime lens. If you stick to one, it's one less thing to think about. Same as like shooting in aperture priority and that, you know, it's just, you see a photograph and you just use your camera as a tool to take it instantly without too much thought, without too much faff. And it's working really well and I'm really enjoying it. There's loads of these around the town, like little, I don't know who's done it actually, but yeah, loads of little quotes of Tyson Fury's over the years, and they're really cool. Lots of stuff about, really positive, you know, lots of stuff about looking after your mental health and all sorts, and quite interesting. Right, I'm going to move on a little bit further. It's getting a bit busy now, for my liking, to be honest, but I do like the light, and there's a couple more subjects that I do really want to photograph, and this next one here in particular, funnily enough, is one that I've always thought is photogenic rather than just finding it all boring. And we're here now, actually. It's that. Look at this. The old Pier bookshop just there. See, like books on the side and everything. Oh, I just feel like there's got to be a shot there. But I've never known what, so here we go. So obviously I've figured out my subject somewhat. It's the bookshop. That's quite vague. But what I'm moving on to next is trying to look at light. And as you can see, really nice light here, light on the right hand side of the building. Left hand side of the building is casting shadow, and I quite like that contrast between the two. So I'll probably shoot like sort of corner on like this. I'm actually finding, I think, I'm cheating with my focal length thing a little bit. I'm at 12mm. I'm going really wide, but I'm finding that actually just shooting it really wide like that, almost photographing the whole sort of block, the whole building, right down to the end over in that direction. I think that's working really well, and it's all just about, I'll just get that now, there we go. Yeah, it's all just about making the most of that light, that contrast. Looks pretty nice. So I'm really enjoying this. I thought I'd have stopped this ages ago, so it's maybe quite a long video. So if you're still with me, thank you. I really hope you're enjoying it. I suppose if you're still here, you probably are, but yeah, I quite like the old pink ice cream van down there, and I'm just trying to show you things that kind of catch my eye. And then moving on to the next part, where all I'm doing is really going to investigate it, see if there's the opportunity for any photographs. I'm gonna go up and round, put myself maybe over there somewhere. I feel like it's, again, just trying to keep it simple. I think it's just gonna be a straight shot looking side on. And I think with these colours, this sort of editing style that I'm going for, this is probably, well, hopefully gonna look kind of cool. I'm back onto my 20mm focal range. I really like that. It's so simple, but again, it's a weird one because I'm kind of trying to visualize it with that editing in mind, that kind of washed out look. So I mentioned earlier that I did a similar sort of thing to this in Tenerife, and if you'd like to see that video, it's up in the corner now. And thank you so much for watching this. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope I've inspired you to try something similar around by where you live maybe, and yeah, try and change that mindset. and don't look at everything as being so familiar, you know. See you on the next adventure. Out.